Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I'm back with another new layout for the Paige Evans design team, and I'm going to be using her Splendid collection again. And I've got two things already picked out that I want to use. I'm going to use this flower stamp from the acrylic stamp set from Splendid, and this paper. I love this paper. I haven't used it yet. It's paper number 19. It's also in the 12 by 12 paper pad. And I thought of a couple of ideas that I wanted to do with this paper. I thought first about punching circles or cutting letters to make a big title, or just cutting each square individually. You know, there's so many things you could do with this. But then as I looked at it, I noticed groups of the squares together that I liked the color scheme. Like, I love that dark blue, the dark pink florals, and then the yellow together. So I thought, let me just slice up some strips here, strips of 3. So I'm looking for color blocks of squares that have 3 colors or 3 patterns in a row that I like. And, you know, every time I start a new layout, I always have intentions of limiting my color scheme to just a couple of colors. And I am a failure at that. That's why most of my layouts have all the colors in them, because I just get sucked in by the rainbow of beautiful colors, especially in Paige's collections, because she always includes so many beautiful colors. I just cannot resist using them all. And now that I have 4 strips of all the colors, I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. So I'm just playing around here and trying to decide if I want to layer them, if I want to separate them, horizontal, vertical, what are we going to do? I have no idea, but we're going to use them somehow. I do know that I'm going to do a lot of mixed media, so I'm going to prep my paper. This is thick, smooth, white cardstock, and my gesso is clear, and it is the Art Basics Finnabair gesso. I love it. It's very smooth. It's not gritty. It's not chalky. It's awesome. And it always works beautifully with anything that I use on it, as far as inks or sprays or paints. So I think I'm going to kind of layer some of those strips on the right and maybe one on the left. I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and start on the background. And I've got the stamp there. That is the flower stamp. And I pulled out my Distress Oxides that match all of the colors in these papers. I don't have every single Distress Oxide, but I do have most of the colors that match the papers here. And I'm just going to start stamping. And I want to say, this is a very easy technique. If you are hesitant to try mixed media, or you're afraid to stamp on your background, you know, because you're afraid you might mess it up, or it might look not right, or you put it in the wrong spot, whatever the reason is, you cannot mess this type of background up. I am not even kidding. All you have to do is first use the gesso. The gesso is key, but get your colors out, get your stamp out, and then just start stamping. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add water here in just a minute and make this look like I took the paper out and left it in the rain. And what that's going to do is kind of make these flowers kind of run and blend. And it's just the coolest effect. It's so easy. It's supposed to look messy. You know, like I said, you can't mess this up. It's supposed to look abstract. And that's the beauty. That's why I love mixed media so much, is because it's supposed to look messy. It's really hard to mess it up. And watch this magic happen. Now, I don't want to lose the effect of or the shape of the flower, but I do want to kind of blur them a little bit. So this is just a regular old brush with some regular old water, lightly adding some, and then just lightly touching the edges of some of the flowers, and it instantly turns it into watercolor. Now, this, for me, this works the best with the Distress Oxides, because it's meant to react with the water like this. But the gesso is just, it's magic. It makes this work so perfectly. And, you know, if I kept going with more water, I could basically dissolve the shape of the flowers. But I want it to still look kind of like, when you look at it, you say, oh my gosh, there's some flowers in there. But they're kind of faded and hazy and like they got left in the rain. You know, that's the best description that I can think of whenever I make a stamped background like this. And another thing is, you know, once you bring your papers back or you add your photos and you realize I'm covering up too much or I want to add more, all you have to do is stamp it again and keep adding to it. It's the layers. The layers make it even better as you go. And you'll kind of see how I keep adding to this. Now, this is just white acrylic paint. I love splattering down white paint when I have wet ink like this because it just instantly starts to kind of spread and create this marble effect. This is kind of what I have so far. I am not loving this, if I'm being honest. I thought, I don't like this at all. But I wasn't going to give up. I'm going to keep going. I decided that I needed some pink, and this did not really work that well. I've tried this before, and it does work with certain stamps, actually stamping with spray ink, and it's not going to look anything like the Distress Oxide because it's liquid, but it still made something interesting. It still made the shape of the flower, but it's not crisp with the stamp. But I decided to add some pink when I put the papers back on top of this background, because my intentions were, see if you can go one layout without using pink. Yeah, right. We see that I'm already a failure at that. I just love pink. I can't help it. But when I put the papers back on top of this yellow, green, and blue and orange, I thought it needs pink. It needs pink. And so that's all I'm doing here is adding a little bit of pink in. And that's a Shimmers spray. That is Vibes Sweetheart. That's the name of that pink color. And I'm going to use it up. I'm going to splatter it, add a little bit to the left, to the right, and just kind of continue on with the messiness. And another awesome thing about gesso is it's very forgiving. It gives you time to change your mind. So I could basically dab up a lot of this and make it look very faint if I wanted to, because the gesso is a barrier between all this color and the paper. And it gives you time to change it around. It does eventually dry. Like the blue stamps there, you can see when I added the water, it's not going to completely disappear because that stamp has been there for a few minutes. Plus I've sped this up. But, right away, you're able to kind of, oops, I didn't like that. Let me dab it up or kind of rub it off, and you can kind of start over. And so that's what one thing, just one of the many things I love about gesso. Now that I've added the pink, I like it a little bit better. I'm going to keep going here. The more I looked at it with the papers back on top of it, I wanted to kind of soften up some of the color. I felt like it was a little too bold. So I'm just going to bring in my white gesso and smudge a little bit of that over some of the shapes there. Now the white gesso that I use is from Liquitex. That's basically been the only white gesso I think I've ever tried, and it's fine. It's a totally different consistency than the clear, but it works great. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this background. I'm just going to keep going here, and I do eventually come back in with the stamp again, because the more I added, the more I use the brush, some of the shapes of the flowers did kind of disappear. But all you have to do is let it dry and then go back on top of it, You can stamp as many times as you want. But I do like mixing the lights with the darks. And I want the papers to stand out, but I also want the background to stand out. It's just trying to find that perfect blend of both things so they both have their own place to stand out, if that makes sense. But I'm liking this background. I think it's kind of cool. It's different. And I love that it started with a stamp. You could do this with any shape of a stamp. I've done it several times with different stamps over the years, and you always just get a different, unique look. And it's fun because, like I said, you can't mess it up. It's supposed to look messy. It's supposed to look runny. All right, so I took some time off, took a little break. This is what I got so far. It's all dry. I love the shimmer there from the pink, the Sweetheart vibes. And I decided on my photos. I've got some cute pictures of my little Paige, and I printed them in black and white because I think her shirt was gray, and there was some just odd colors coming from the wall and the couch. The colors were not that special to the photos. So whenever I have photos and either there's some crazy colors going on or the colors aren't really that important in the photo, I'll just print it in black and white, especially since I got all this color going on with everything else. The black and white kind of stands out a little bit more. And I printed 3 small ones because, like I said, I'm going to have kind of two sides. I'm going to have some stuff going on the right and then some stuff going on the left, and then maybe put some stuff in the middle that will connect the two sides. I'm trying to think if I want a big title, or do I want like something big in the middle? I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and distress the edges of the paper strips. I'm using my hands just to kind of crinkle the paper. I'm using my edge distressor there to make the edges kind of torn and rough. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue those together so I can kind of move them around as one piece. And the glue that I'm using is the Scotch Tacky Glue in my very worn, very well-loved fine liner bottle. All right, I'm going to start to embellish here. I'm going to go through all the things. I've got chipboard stickers, I've got the cardstock stickers, the die cuts, all the stuff, and just try to pick out things that I can nestle in or tuck in a couple spots. And here I come back with the stamp. This is what I was talking about. I wanted to have more images of the stamp around the left side because I felt like, you know, now it's kind of dry, everything's kind of faded, and it's kind of covered up by that paper strip. So don't be afraid to add mixed media to your background even after you think you're done and after you put your papers and your pictures down, because what's the fun of if you cover it all up, you know? And I know that's like always a struggle, especially for me, is you spend all this time making this background and then you add everything on top of it and it's like, where did the background go? I can't even see it. And that drives me nuts, especially on, you know, my own layouts. It's like I just spent an hour working on this watercolor. But, you know, that's how scrapbooking goes. You got to put some paper down. You got to put some stickers and some photos down, right? So what I do is I kind of get it like I want it. And then if I've covered up the background, I'm just going to add more. I'm just going to add more. But I don't even know if this is the final design as far as the photos. So we're just going to play around. I've got some chipboard pieces. I'm going to use this sticker. But I want to take the sticky off, so I just rubbed a little bit of baby powder on the back of it, and then I'm going to take my little cutter bee scissors and trim off that white border so it's not as big and there's not as much white going around. And I like that orange flower and the green leaves because those two colors are over on the right in that paper strip. But then I noticed it was kind of covering up the pink. So this is what I was talking about. I'm going to add some more pink. So you're going to be able to see it there in the middle and then kind of underneath the photo and where that little flower sticker is going to go. It's always a work in progress. I never feel like I'm ever really done. A lot of times I just have to say, you're done. Wrap it up. Take a picture and post it. You're finished. Otherwise, I would just continue working on the same layout forever, and that's just ridiculous. This is a little sticker that says Radiate Positivity, and that's from the 8-page sticker book. Yeah, I must go back and forth between all the things a million times. I can never decide. And if you're like me, you know, you look at a sticker sheet or something, and then you put it down, and then 5 minutes later you look at it again, and you see something different that you didn't see the first time. That's me, 100%. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't see that the last time. So always look at your things more than one time, you know, because you overlook stuff and you don't even realize it. At least I do. This is the floral die cut pack. I have been putting off using this because it's so gorgeous, and I just think, oh, I don't want to ever run out of all of these flowers. But I felt like this one called for some flowers, and so I'm just going to play around with some of these flowers and leaves and just kind of experiment with different colors. That's another thing, is I'm trying to find certain colors to go in certain areas, so the colors are kind of spread around. Here's another example of coming in with the stamping later. So now you can see more of the shape of the flower amidst the watercolor background. I'm glad I added the pink. I honestly was not going to add pink on the background, but it needed it, and I'm glad I did. All right, what am I doing now? Oh, we're going to come back in with the yellow color. I think that color is fossilized amber, I believe. I think I used Uncharted Mariner, Picked Raspberry, Broken China, and what is the lime green one called? You probably know more than I will. It's called Twisted Citron. Yep. But I like that one-of-a-kind chipboard piece because if you've ever met Paige, then you know she's one of a kind. Yeah. She's a hot mess express for sure, but that's why I love her, because she's my wild child. This is just some, what is that stuff called? Adhesive foam. I love that stuff. It works great to pop your photos or your stickers up off the page a little bit. I'm not going to pop up the paper strips because I'm going to pop up a lot of other things. So I'm just going to glue those straight down. And plus the edges are folded up, so they still have some dimension. I'm going to add that little sticker right on top of the photo there. I always love layering embellishments on top of the photo if there's room. I never want to overload the photo or crowd the photo or take away from the photo. It just depends on the picture. It depends on if there's some negative empty space in the picture. Like on the picture on the right, see how she's kind of, her arms are kind of coming out in front of her and there's an empty negative space. So that radiate positivity sticker, it doesn't even touch her. So that's what I would call negative space in the photo. And I feel like that part, that works. But sometimes if the photo does not have any negative space, I don't like to add things on top of it because it's almost like it's too much. It's making the photo overly busy, makes it harder to see what's in the photo, and I never want to look at my layout and say, where's the picture? It's so busy, I can't find it. So I always try to take that into consideration when layering. I've got a couple of leaf sprigs that I fussy cut from a pattern paper. Love that blue color. I love the blue leaves. I never thought I would say I love blue leaves, but I love the ones in this collection. So I'm going to try to put in a couple of those, as well as that little shaped piece that I put behind the right photo. I cut that out of a little piece of paper from one of the 2x2 paper pads. And now I'm just adding in some thread. I've got the dark navy blue color. I've got that orangey yellow color. I'm just going to add that in a couple places. And, I've been a fan of texture from thread for years. I don't even know why. I love the color. I love the texture. I love that it looks messy. My thing is always messy. I always make messy backgrounds. And so I just love that it kind of adds to the whole messy factor. Tucking in a couple of little flowers here and there. Now, some of these flowers, I'm going to put adhesive foam under them to give them some dimension, and that creates instant shadowing and depth, which I love. And I have another little shape here that I cut from the 2x2 paper, and I've already glued this side down, so I'm trying to peel it up carefully so I can kind of wedge that in there. And again, it's just part of layering. There's so many ways to layer, so many things to layer with. Always look at your things. Don't be afraid to fussy cut one thing out of a piece of paper or one part of a die cut. There's no law saying that you have to use the whole thing as is. I'm a big fan of making it your own. Cut it up, hack into it, take it apart, whatever it takes to make it work for you. I say do it. I love that little half circle sticker that says this. That works right underneath the bottom photo there. I'm trying to move this yellow flower up a little bit. This is a testament to the Scotch tacky glue. It really works. Yep. Once that stuff dries, you got to work hard to get it to peel up. I love it. More stickers. I'm going to look for some little sentiment stickers or word stickers here. And this is a piece of the 8-page sticker book. Just looking for things that go with this, that match. And these are just some everyday photos, of her looking cute. There's nothing, it's no monumental event here. So I'm just making any little sentiment that works with it. Try to fit it in a couple spots. And I try to use that pink arrow, but I can't make it work. Now this here is a piece that I used from a previous layout. This little yellow scallop, that's actually from the washi tape. If you have the Splendid washi tape pack, there is a yellow spool in there that's that beautiful, cute scallop. And I had fixed that up to use on a previous layout and didn't use it, but I stuck it to some white cardstock and cut it out. So it looks like a border piece, but it's actually washi tape. I'm going to cut this big blue flower in half and run it off the page on either side. And that's a fun way to stretch your embellishments. Cut it in half. You would never know that I cut it in half, but I did. And then, of course, my favorite thing from this collection are the heart paper clips. Love those. Oh, here's an idea. Here's an example of dismantling. These are the dimensional stickers, and they come in these cute little, they're already ready. They're in these, it's like a little brown bag with a little bow, but I just wanted the flowers from it. So I took it apart and just used the flowers. I know that's probably cringy, but I just, you know, I didn't want the little paper bag part or the bow. I just wanted the flowers. And so I took it apart. Don't be afraid to do that, you know. Anyway, here's what I got so far. I like the dimension and all the little things popping up off the page. There's a lot going on here. I'm trying not to make it too busy, but, you know, there's just a lot of color going on. And I really wanted to use some of these epoxy stickers. I wanted to mix and match. And so I decided on Life, and I want to kind of fade it out a little bit. So another wonderful thing about white gesso is you can make things look a little hazy or cloudy or dull, however you want to look at it. So I'm going to use Life, and then I'm going to use the thickers to finish the title. And it's just going to be Life with Paige. And I'm going to use multicolors for the second part of the title there. And I just decided to go in the middle where there was some white space because, you know, it's, where else is the title going to go? And then I love using these banner pieces or these little label pieces for layers. So I put a pink one on the right, a blue one on the left. And it's just a small detail that I love. I love the small details. Getting close to being finished because we got a lot going on. The more I looked at this, though, I thought I needed a little something at the top and the bottom because it's just plain white and it was bugging me. So I'm going to just hack off a little bit of a sliver here and make it crooked and then distress it up with my edge distresser there and kind of bend it and make it look a little weathered. And then have this pink and white gingham paper kind of peeking behind it. And I think this was the perfect addition. So this is an idea to kind of to dress up your edges if you want to add a little something something, but nothing too crazy. It just kind of gives a little peek of something back there. So I'm going to slice off a piece of that. And I got this, I don't know what the number is, but I got it from the 12 by 12 paper pad, but I know it's also a single sheet. And I'm just going to glue that behind there. And it's not too much. It doesn't take away from the photos. I don't think it makes the layout, you know, that much busier. And I also did it at the bottom. And I know this video is getting long, so I went ahead and sped this last part up. I'm going to add my journaling with my black fine tip Sharpie. I did draw some lines because I can't write in a straight line to save my life. And then the last thing I'm going to do is, of course, add gold splatters because why not? I had to add some gold. And that's the Jen Hadfield Gold Glitter Spray. But anyway, that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. It was a lot of fun to make. And I hope it gives you some ideas to try with the stamps. I really hope you try this technique. Like I said, use the gesso first. Get yourself some Distress Oxides, or probably even the Distress Inks would work. Any type of, just try it with any ink that you have. You know, any ink is going to give you some kind of reaction with the gesso and the water. But yeah, this turned out really fun. And then once it dries, stamp over it again. You're going to get a really cool effect. And I just love this technique because it's a fun way to get messy. And it's supposed to be messy. You know, that's what I love about it the most. But I took a lot of close-ups here. All of the different colors are so pretty. I had a lot of fun doing this one. So let me know if you have any questions. And I will see you in my next video. I'll link everything down below that's still available. And I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Thanks for stopping in.